Hey guys, so fall has officially arrived. I have talked incessantly this growing season, about how we've had a late summer and our tomatoes didn't ripen or even begin to ripen until September, and we are late, putting the garden to bed and everything else. And last week I filmed us kind of tearing down the garden, or starting to anyway, one of our garden beds, and planting our garlic, which needed to go in the ground. But this week we are now kind of feeling the push because, as you can probably see, it is raining. It is nasty out here. And anything that is left out here that needs to be pulled out is just gonna rot if we just leave it out in the rain any longer. So we wanna start pulling some more things in from the garden. Specifically today, we are going to be pulling in our pumpkins and winter squash. We have a bunch in our garden that still need to be harvested, and as miserable as it is right now, we've just had a very busy October. We weren't expecting to have such a late harvest, and then we also were away for our Canadian Thanksgiving with family a couple weeks ago. We just got back from a trip to the west coast of Vancouver Island, which was lovely. We just got back from that last night, and then tomorrow, unfortunately, we have to travel to the city for a funeral for a family member. So we've kind of had these really short little windows of time, little pockets, if you will, to try to scramble to kind of get everything done. So as much as I don't love being out here in the rain, it's not that bad either. You gotta get used to it when you live here in the Pacific Northwest. So we're gonna take a little bit of time today to harvest our pumpkins, pull a few more things out of the garden, and start bringing everything that kind of remains out here inside for fall. Okay, so Evelyn, I need you to help me. Can you come around the side of the house and get your wheelbarrow?
Oh, sure.
So we didn't end up actually growing all that many pumpkins and squashes this year because the weather was weird. So we don't need a large wheelbarrow. I think just a small kitty wheelbarrow should do. You coming, kiddo? So we're just gonna load them up, and I will show you what we did get though, because the pumpkin vine that we actually got the most pumpkins off of this year, we didn't even plant.
Got it.
All right. Wheel it toward the gate. Okay, so our first pumpkins that we're cutting down today are actually from a vine that we did not even plant. We had, if you can see behind me here in the garden, there's our compost bin right there, and we actually had a pumpkin vine grow right out of our compost this year. So right here you can see there looks like two vines that grew right out of the side of our compost. Probably was just some old pumpkin seeds from last year that sprouted. Now, normally I would just pick out those seedlings when I see them sprout out of the compost, because normally I don't really want my compost bin to be growing a whole bunch of vegetables. I want it to be decomposing into soil that I can use for our vegetable garden later on, but I don't want it to just be sprouting all sorts of things that are in there. But also because with your squash and pumpkin and stuff like that, anything in the squash family can and does cross-pollinate very easily. And what that means is that if you have a volunteer plant just pop out of your compost bin or out of your garden or wherever the following year, you can't really be sure what variety you're going to get. So we've had some really weird crosses before, like pumpkins and spaghetti squash and stuff that, I mean, they're edible. It's not going to kill you, but But you know, a lot of times they're not really palatable. They're not really something that you want to eat. But this year we had these vines grow, and I thought, you know what, this is the year to experiment, right? Why not? And so I let them grow, and they actually turned into what I believe are pure sugar pie pumpkins, and we have tested them out already. I have made a Thanksgiving pumpkin pie with a pumpkin off of the 2 pumpkins off of this vine. I have made my pumpkin spice syrup, which we've been enjoying in our lattes. I will link to both of those recipes actually below the video, so you can check those out. But we still have a bunch of pumpkins to harvest off of here, and we know that they taste good now. We know that they are good eaten. So I'm actually really excited because this is the vine that did the best in the end. We ended up getting 8, or the 2 vines, I guess. We ended up getting 8 pumpkins from these plants coming out of the compost, whereas the plants that we actually started on purpose from seeds struggled a little bit more. So I'll show you those after. But right now we're gonna go and harvest. We think we've got 4 out of the patch already that we've used, and then we gotta take 4 more out today. Okay, so you can see this vine ended up growing right out through the fence and all the way around the front of our garden. So I've got this one right here. Now this one you'll see, it started to ripen, it started to turn orange, but it hasn't fully ripened yet. But just like tomatoes, you can actually harvest your pumpkin and squash green still. As long as it's kind of starts to turn color, then it will continue to ripen. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that off, and then we'll leave this one and it will turn orange. It'll probably be solid within the next week or so. Whew, it's a tough vine actually. I should have just snapped it, but I think it's pretty wet right now, so I don't know. Maybe I can snap it. There we go. There we go. Yeah. All right.
Here we go.
Okay, put the first one in the wheelbarrow. Gently. That's a very soft landing. Well done. Okay, let's go. Can you find the next pumpkin?
Here's one.
Where? Oh, hey, right there. I didn't even know it was right there. Let's get this one. So this one too is kind of not quite finished ripening. Let me just see. I might just be able to snap this off. It's not, vine's not too wet and mushy yet. It might be a little bit wet. Let's see. There we go.
Can I hold it?
We sure can. Woo, heavy.
Next, the soft landing. Whoa, there's not enough room for the other pumpkin.
Oh, I think we'll find some room. Okay, can you see the other 2?
Here.
Yeah, so those ones are really orange because these ones started ripening a while ago. So watch out and get these off the vine, okay?
I can do the little one.
The little one? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give you the little one, okay?
To snap off.
Oh, you want to try snapping it off?
Yeah. I can try. Ooh, it's too spiky.
It's a little bit spiky here.
That's my brain telling me to act quickly to get it off the pumpkin vine.
That's right, your brain tells you very quickly when something's spiky. There we go. All right, you can put that one in. Nice.
So wobbly.
Okay, yeah, we got it. Ready?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're headed around to the side garden where we planted some pumpkins and winter squash on purpose. And funnily enough, it was this garden that actually struggled more. So I think that the reason that the pumpkin and squash didn't do as well on this side of the garden was, there's a few reasons. First of all, we put in a new bed You can see that behind me there. There's a new bed where we planted our squash and pumpkins below, and then we did some beans trellising up the side there. And that kind of format worked really well with the squash at the bottom, right? It's a little bit of the Three Sisters method, which is you're kind of underplanting squash with corn and then growing beans up the corn. In this case, we were just using poles. We didn't do any corn. But so that method worked really well, but this is our new garden. We didn't really amend the soil or add much in the way of nutrients other than some organic liquid fertilizer. So I think that kind of gave them a poor start to begin with. Second, we just had a late, weird, cool, wet summer, and they really needed a lot more sun than they got over here. Just in general, our property didn't get a lot of sun this summer. And then the other thing was that I planted them a bit too close together. I probably should have done half the amount of pumpkins and squash in this area. Either way, they had a really slow start. We did not really get any spaghetti squash, which we usually get a ton of, but it's an early producer. And because we had just a bad early part of our summer, like this is all we got this year, two about this size. We also planted some pie pumpkins out here, just like the ones that came out of our compost, but they literally did not do anything. They didn't produce at all. So I'm really thankful that we got the harvest that we did out of the compost pile. I'm glad I did not decide to pull those pumpkin seedlings in the spring when I noticed them pop up, because that was kind of the majority of our pumpkin harvest this year. In either case, there are a few squash and pumpkins available for us to harvest today, so we're going to be pulling those out of the side garden as well. Okay, so you can see there's one right here, and I had waited and waited for it to ripen. Do you see this one right here, the green pumpkin? It's a French heirloom variety called Muscat d'Hiver. And so I was expecting it to ripen, but it never did. And I kind of have a feeling that this one is not meant to ripen at all, especially considering this is the other one that grew and did actually quite well. And it is solid green. You can see that. I don't think that this one is meant to even turn orange. So either way, they are definitely full size. They have been for a while. We're gonna be harvesting these today. Final one here is our singular butternut squash that actually grew and ripened. You can see this mark on it. I was actually doing a video for my gardening course showing when to harvest your butternut squash and when not to. And I was showing that when you put your nail into it, if it leaves a dent, it is not yet ready to harvest. Look, now it is ready. Then it was not. But now it's definitely ready. It's turned that beautiful kind of tan color that we expect out of a butternut squash. These are all, I mean, they're not doing any more growing. You can see the leaves. We had a killing frost. It's time to bring all of these inside. That is a pumpkin.
It's a really nice one.
All right, so that was actually a better little haul than I thought we were going to get, for sure. As you can see, there's still lots to be done in the garden. We got lots more plants to take out. The tomato plants need to come off out of the side garden. We need to pull those pumpkin vines out, the green beans, all those annuals. Like I mentioned in the last video, you know, you want to make sure that you take all of your annuals out when you're putting your garden to bed for the winter. So there's still lots to be done, but for now, we are gonna go haul those pumpkins inside, dry them off, and we're gonna get them curing for winter. Okay, so I am just gonna go ahead and give these a rinse, get any kind of dirt and mud off of them, and then I'm gonna dry them well, just with a kitchen towel. Now, and I'll dry them well, and then we're going to put them on the shelf to cure. All right, and that's it. I actually love growing pumpkin and winter squash. You get a whole lot for really not a ton of space or effort. Like I said, that one pumpkin, that is 15 pounds, and most of that is going to be flesh that we're going to be able to eat. They're super high in nutrients, but best of all, you really don't have to do anything special to them to get them to store. And even if you don't actually have a cold storage, we don't have a cold storage. This is just our laundry room. It's a corner in our laundry room, but it kind of meets the right conditions. So like you can see, we've got some shelving here that gets good airflow from all kind of directions. Really all you need is a well ventilated area in somewhere where you're not going to get a lot of direct sunlight, and just keep them dry, and that's it. We should be eating from this small but mighty pumpkin and squash stash right through to the end of winter and probably into next spring. If you like this video, make sure you hit like and subscribe below so you never miss an update from the house and homestead. Happy fall!